everyone, today we have something very exciting to show you if you're out there playing or thinking of playing the Barbarian, because we have 2-6 with us, who is our Barbarian main. He's been playing through the story on Barbarian. So 2-6, are you excited to show off your build?
Yeah, definitely, because I feel like the Barbarian community as a whole, because I've been looking for builds, guys. I think a load of you Barbarians can probably be feeling the same way as me, where there's a couple builds out there. They don't feel too great. The Whirlwind one was clapping, guys, but now it's not doing so great. And this is the one that I've landed on that is super fun to actually play. It is one that's been around, so it's not groundbreaking, but it's definitely one I want to point you guys in the direction of trying out if you haven't already.
Definitely. I've seen this in action myself as we've been playing through in co-op, and sometimes a boss's or a monster's health bar just gets chonked and they just disappear, and I'm like, whoa, what was that? But if you want to take this build, guys, we've teamed up with Mobalytics, so you can check out the written version of the build linked down below. Or if you want to just yoink it and run, you can preview it now on the screen and see all the modifiers in each of the different skill bars on the screen, so we have that sorted out for you there. But 2-6, tell us a little bit overview about your build, like the core aspect of it, and then let's jump into the skill tree and run through everything, and we'll do a live dungeon run at the end so you can see it in action and how it works for yourself.
Oh, like any Barbarian build, this is all about the shouts and keeping up your uptime on your fury as well, to make sure that you're dealing as much damage as possible. The main core skill that we're going to be using is Hammer of the Ancients, which does chunky damage. If you want to fulfill that fantasy of being a Barbarian that is smashing and just doing huge numbers, this is the one for you. And out of testing a bunch of them, this is the one that I felt played the best out of the most in terms of not only single target damage. It's not great and it doesn't excel at single target damage, but it's like decent for single target damage, it's decent for area of effect, and it does enough that you feel okay playing this. When Paradise is playing on his Sorcerer, it's not like I feel like I'm super behind like I was on some of the other builds as well. Obviously, if you want to try the Whirlwind build, that's still good, but it depends on some crucial uniques that you might want to get as well. And I didn't like the stop and start time of the Whirlwind build, so this one really landed in a good place.
Definitely. And the fact that you just start doing big, meaty smashes for big damage numbers is just the Barbarian thing to do. So let's run us through the skill tree. We'll go through the gear afterwards and the weapon expertise and all of that, and we'll explain everything as we go along. So give me the rundown of each of the nodes in the skill tree.
Oh, you don't really know about the Barbarian ones, but most of these ones with the icons and the blue icons are going to be your shouts, and these ones are essentially your buffs. So here we have Warcry, which increases the damage deal. You love this one when I cast it. It just makes you increase the damage of you and your party members in the nearby vicinity.
Let me just jump in and say, if you are playing with a Barbarian, you want them to be using shouts because they buff you, like, as the party member. So a straight up damage buff that applies to the party is like, you have to think about it like this as well. If you have someone with you that's outputting a lot of damage and you're giving them, 18% increased damage, and also to yourself, that kind of like adds that 18% damage to your damage, if you think about it, because they wouldn't be there without you. So it's just big damage bonus, like in party play.
Yeah, definitely. And then this also, as a modifier, grants Berserking. So Berserking is 25% increased damage and 15% more movement speed. So you're going to be zipping through those encounters and in those engagements. When you're looking at the ranks for the abilities as well, if you feel like you are going to use one more so, then you can up and down them. I've just picked the ones that I feel really work for me. So for me, the next one that I've invested in a lot is Rallying Cry, and I put 5 skill points in there. And this one just increases your movement speed by 30%. But the reason that we've really taken this is for the resource generation, and that's the main thing that's holding back Barbarians, I feel, in my eyes. Somebody that's more seasoned and played all the Diablo games could kind of probably expand on that, but right now it doesn't feel like the resource generation is where I kind of really want it to be. It feels like I am stopping and starting a lot on the other build, so this one's a really good one for building up that resource generation as quickly as possible. Very good ability and skill.
And it applies to party members.
And it applies to party members.
I love the movement speed from it.
Yeah.
So you can just run through and beam through a dungeon.
Yeah, it makes you unstoppable as well. So if you've been like CC'd by something else, you can just cast this and it will break you out of that CC and you can keep on going. And obviously it gives you more fury generation, so you know what's up. And then Challenging Shout, not only good for like just team play in general because it's a taunt, but it also reduces the amount of damage that you're taking. You can see here I'm getting 40% damage reduction for like 7 seconds, which is pretty huge. And there's other additional modifiers down there that's really cool. But the next ability, which is basically our ultimate and where we live most of the time, is in Wrath of the Berserker. We're going to cast this as much as possible. Anything that can bring down the cooldown for this is really good. There is Ground Stomp that will has the ability to reduce the cooldown of some of your abilities, like this Wrath of Berserker. So if you want to take Ground Stomp and send us something else, you can do that. But for now, we're just taking Wrath of the Berserker, and this is kind of like your ult. It's just like, put me in Berserker, keep going, just doing more Berserker time and Berserker uptime. So that's the way that you need to think of this one. You don't need to invest any points because it's only 1 point that you need to invest into it.
So just to jump in on that, it says basic attacks will extend the duration by 5 seconds.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot to add on to it. But you also have, look, every 50 fury you spend increases your Berserker damage bonus by 25%. That's another big damage bonus. Berserking already gives you 25%. So it's like 50% damage bonus when you're spending fury. And you are spending fury on your Hammer of the Ancients, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you also have that increased fury generation and move speed. Because it's all about ramping up your fury to basically spam Hammer of the Ancients, which is a big, chonky AoE hit, right?
Yeah, definitely, and that's the way that makes it all kind of really synergize and really come together, which is why I like it, really. It's just like, you are literally living that barbarian lifestyle. You're going around like as some berserker warrior. And then the main skill that we are going to be using, which is our core skill, is Hammer of the Ancients, and this is just a big smashing down of the hammer, essentially in an area, which is really good. And it does more damage based on how much fury you had when you used it. So if you like have a ton of fury and you unleash it, it's going to be doing crazy damage. And I've seen this hit like in the hundreds of Ks, even at my level at the moment. I'm not even that high. I'm like, what, 57? So yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
You see it move on the enemy's like health bar. Like, it's either they just instantly die or it's a massive chunk on elites, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And then you just gain so much like damage and stuff off the procs that you get for when you're like attacking stuff as well, off of the other stuff that you're doing. And then you can either take Flay here, or you can take, I actually really enjoy Flay, but I've taken Lunge and Strike because I feel like this generates a little bit more fury than Flay does. So you can take Flay, but Lunge and Strike is really cool. It just kind of basically it lets you pounce on enemies from a distance, and it just builds fury like so quickly. That's why I've taken it over some of the other basic skills.
The biggest thing that I think to pick this one is both that it heals you slightly on those healthy enemies, but also your crit strikes, which you want to be building towards crit for like most DPS like options, right, are giving you a little bit extra berserking time as well, which gives you that big damage and movement speed bonus.
Yeah.
And like, and it's just like it all feeds into itself. What I am interested in as well is what passives you've gone for in the actual skill tree itself, like the actual passive nodes. Okay. So could you show us them and run us through?
Yeah, let's go into it. So, in the skill tree, we have Pressure Point, which is another thing that will just allow you to get your enemies like vulnerable. I've invested 3 into this. Like I said earlier, guys, if you want to invest more points into, say, something like Lunging Strike, or say your Challenging Shout to bring down the cooldowns on that, or your Warcry, you can do that. But for this, some of the passives I just felt would kind of impact my build a bit better. So personally, I've gone for this, but you can change them around as you want to.
I think that's a big one just to say, because chance to make things vulnerable, obviously then they take 20% more damage, and then if you are making things vulnerable, you can spec into bonus vulnerable damage, which is obviously going to just maximize your damage really good.
Yeah,
so
we'll talk
I think
about
that's a pretty good one.
We'll talk about it in a bit, because it kind of really synergizes with a lot of the stuff that you have on your expertise panel as well. So when you're talking about your arsenal and switching weapons, a lot of that stuff does benefit from different procs or different status types when it comes to damage infliction, like vulnerable damage as well, which is huge. And then here we've got Booming Voice. Your shouts are increased, your time that you use them. This is one that you see on most builds as well. I would say, if you didn't want to be so cheeky and you want to be helpful to your friends, you can put this one on, Raid Leader. I've actually taken it off for this one. just to see how other things work. But raid
More
leaders,
of a support skill, isn't it?
you don't know how good this is. This will heal you up to full if your teammate has it on. So I'm probably going to end up putting this back on. But raid leader is very good. And then obviously here you've got another one, which is like causing damage.
Still less
yeah,
damage.
Exactly. Which isn't too bad.
Remember,
so.
we haven't maxed our renown, so we're missing. I think we might be missing like 6 to 8 skill points or something like that. So easily more things are maximized here if you have finished all of your renown. But we haven't done that just yet.
Then we've got aggressive resistance, just so that we can gain some damage resistance. But really, we want to get it to prolific fury, so that we can get more fury generation. You know what the whole thing of this build is. It's just getting that fury up, so we can stay in berserking as much as possible and generate as much damage off of proccing that Hammer of the Ancients as all the time, essentially. Then we have Pit Fighter, which is increased damage to close enemies and gain distant damage. I know there's a difference between the pools, so sometimes when it comes to the pools of damage, damage to close enemies is kind of an additive thing that you don't necessarily want to prioritize, but this is still definitely really good to have because it's just extra damage anyway, right? You can just stack it on there. And then here you've got damage to enemies. Has a chance to do critical strike. It's just critical strike increase, basically. So we want that. We really want to increase our critical strike because when we hit that Hammer of the Ancients, we want to make sure that we're doing the deeps.
Well, also, your lunging strike crits are giving you berserk, so it will feed in.
So the next one is your bleeding reflex. Have a chance to slow the enemies. There is some expertise that you can actually put on that allow you to just all your attacks essentially to inflict bleeding as well. So this is just a nice one to passively have, and if you have any effects that are causing bleeding, you can have this on as well. So I usually just take it because there are a bunch of skills, or if I just want to change around to inflicting bleeding, it's really cool. Then down here we've got Tempered Fury, again increasing that maximum amount of fury that we can have by 9, just meaning that that Hammer of Ancients can do a little bit more damage because we can get a little bit higher, which is awesome. And then Heavy-Handed, and these are just like the skills that interact with like your weapons. So I've got bludgeoning weapons that increase damage to vulnerable enemies. We spoke about vulnerable earlier. Huge, we're getting the benefit from that. And then the two-handed weapons get increased critical strike damage. So one of the big things about this build is trying to build up your critical strike chance and your critical strike damage to as high as possible. If you can get it to 100% and beyond that, you're just laughing. So that's why we're really going for like these skills that can do that. If you can get that from your kits or your armor, that's huge. And then lastly, a core skill that a load of builds use, which is Unbridled Rage, which is 135% increased damage, but at the cost of 100% Fury. This one does feel dirty when you put it on because you're just like, I'm using so much Fury now, but the damage is definitely worth it at the end of the day.
I think that's how you hit those high numbers, right? 135% bonus, so you're doubling the cost, but you're more than doubling the damage. And that does it also go into Hammer of the Ancients basically consuming like... Is it to do with having more fury makes it do more damage,
so
right?
so you consume more, so the Hammer of the Ancients is going to do more when it is consumed. So rather than consuming 30 and only doing 30 damage, it's consuming 60 and doing 60 damage plus this bonus, basically. So which is really cool. Yeah, and then from there, we've obviously got our expertise panel. And one thing to know, I don't know if many people have really explained it, it's just like, the technique that you have you should try and make that different to the one that you have your currently equipped weapon. So I'm obviously using a bludgeoning weapon for the Hammer of the Ancients because that's the one that is locked to. But my technique is going to be the axe one or the sword one. As you can see, I've been using the sword one a lot, and the sword one does 20% of your direct damage you inflict as bleeding damage over 5 seconds. So that's the one that you can use to proc bleeding. But the one that I'm using for the axe one is you do more 9% increased vulnerable damage. I haven't fully leveled this up, but once you do get it to rank 10, it does a bunch of other stuff. Plus, you get the bonuses as well, so you get additional bonuses.
If you hover over the actual selected slot as well, on the left, you can actually see it says when using any weapon. So that's why it works still with Hammer of the Ancients, and it's doing that vulnerable damage, and we have ways to make them vulnerable, like we just showed through the skill tree. So it's all feeding in, and vulnerable damage is like gonna really add a lot, like a big chunk of damage to you as well. So that, I think that's definitely the right choice there.
Yeah, definitely. It's a really cool system. That's a thing that we can play around and kind of really proc different things. I kind of haven't tried like even the one-handed axe one or some of the other ones. I would give them a go in the future, but for now, I'm definitely focused on the the axe and leveling that up, and I suggest that you guys put that on because we will be doing as much vulnerable damage as well. We know that from the buckets that have been theorized that vulnerable damage will increase your damage a lot because it is a multiplicative bucket. So what that basically means, it will just times all your damage basically, rather than just adding a percentage to it.
Yeah. I'm really interested to see your gear. Maybe you could run us through, because you don't even have perfect gear for this build. We both for our builds have basically been using what we've got. We haven't got perfect substats, but we're still clearing dungeons just fine, doing massive damage. So it just shows you how much more you could push the build if you get really lucky on your gear. But why don't you just run us through your pieces and basically the aspects that matter, the ones that don't, and the substats that matter as you go through each piece.
Oh, for as you said, like my gear isn't like min-max or optimized, but there are a few things that we definitely do want to pick up, and there are just aspects. But these ones are freely available in the world as well, and if you want to locate any of the aspects that you want to get, and you want to know which dungeon they come from, you can actually come to here, and you can be like, okay, cool, I want to find one, and you can go show my class only, and you can click on this, and it will actually mark it on the map for you. In the game world, and you can locate that dungeon and go directly to it. So if you're lost for any of the aspects, you can do it quickly, but I just wanted to show you guys that so you knew what was up, and I don't think many people are using that really, so yeah, that's really cool.
It's the easiest way to get the aspect effects by getting them in the dungeon, and you unlock them permanently on your account. So
yeah, so the main one that one of the main ones that we're using is this imprint or aspect that I found dropped on my weapon. You can obviously get this whenever you want, or I don't too sure if there's actually an aspect dungeon out there for it, but 92% isn't too bad, so I was pretty happy to use this one. And this what this does
rolled very well.
Yeah, what this does is basically augment your Hammer of Ancients to allow it to quake out, so it'll do a circle AoE around it, doing some of the damage from your Hammer of the Ancients, which is pretty good, right? Pretty good. It just makes it do more damage, and you're gonna have like more uptime on it. But the thing that really made it essential, there's one that generates fury essentially, and this one is huge. Without it, the build doesn't work. I don't think a load of Barbarian builds in general don't work. So if you're having a difficult time, go for this aspect in particular. Your shouts and your shout skills generate 2 to 4 fury per second while active. When I didn't have this aspect, I just felt gross playing it. This is definitely one that you want to get. It'll be listed in the description. I don't know the actual name of the aspect at the moment, but it's the one with wings. Can I go to my collection and actually see it?
Might be able to if you've unlocked it.
Yeah, I think it's resource. Aspect of Echoing Fury. There you go. And it's from the Scirocco Caverns. So you can go over there and you can grab this. Really good for making the actual build work, and essentially essential to most of the Barbarian builds. I'm not too sure if they actually nerfed it recently as well. I think that's one of the things that they actually did. I'm just checking.
So probably your arm piece probably has one that's like decent, like just the basic skills having increased attack speed. That just means that your lunging strike's going to be hitting quicker, which means you're going to be generating a bit more fury quicker off of it. But probably not the most groundbreaking one, but that is one that's just going to passively help.
Yeah.
But is there a couple substats that you can highlight that you kind of want to look out for? I think on your bottom right weapon, you had a few that I would probably recommend people use, like your core skill damage. That's going to affect your Hammer of the Ancients. Obviously, crit strike damage, you want to be hitting those crits. You've got damage to bleeding, that's probably a lesser important one, but you are bleeding things, so you're going to be getting that bonus as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think all of this kind of really factors into it. You do want to prioritize like your critical strike and your critical chance damage, but if you can get stuff like core skill damage or basic skill damage, you can go for that. Obviously, core skill is going to be way more preferred than your basic skill, because that's where the predominant amount of your damage is going to come from. So you will want to prioritize that if you can get it. As you can see here, I've got like random stuff imprinted on my gear, like ground scump, and this goes to show how effective this build is, because I don't even have the optimized gear and it's still hitting for quite a bit. I will say, if you are new to Diablo like me and you're trying to go in and make sure that you're doing the most damage, please upgrade your gear as well. It's such a huge thing. It will just add to your item number. Not only that, but it just generally increases some of the perks and benefits that you actually are getting from your armor. I felt like my builds weren't doing that much damage, until I really upgraded them. So upgrade them to around like level 4. It doesn't take that much of an investment in terms of monetary stuff or like resources, or wherever you feel comfortable that you feel like you're doing power and you don't want to use that many resources, then definitely do upgrade your stuff. It does make the difference, so it is quite big.
Definitely does, especially when we're talking about legendaries that you know you're going to be keeping in that slot for a while.
Yeah.
But if you're like level 10, you're going to be switching gear quite often. But I think once you get to about 30 or 40, that's when you can start to think, okay, I've got a couple pieces of gear that I'm not going to swap for probably 5 or 10 levels, so you might as well just upgrade them a few times. It's not that expensive, like you say. But should we run through a dungeon and see it in action and see those meaty slams with Hammer of the Ancient? I'm excited to see some big damage numbers from it too.
Let's do it. We're going to jump in. We're going to have a bit of fun.
And this isn't a dungeon you've completed before, so this is a complete fresh run in here. We'll get the aspect at the end, why not?
Wow.
The Tarnished Quarters.
This isn't one I've completed, but I think it's one I came in to like test earlier. So we might need to go to another dungeon actually.
Oh, we might need to. Oh, the locked door's there though. Although it might just be running through. We open it up. Oh, we got one more blood obelisk, and then we'll get to the second part of the dungeon. We did actually have one dungeon that was actually kind of bugged for us, right, recently. Which was a high tier nightmare dungeon that we were doing, and the last objective we needed to move on just didn't spawn. So hopefully it will spawn here for us now. Oh, there's a pack of enemies.
So what you need to do is proc your shouts, proc your stuff, then start the smashing, and you can just see like things it's gonna do. Where was that guy? That guy's gone. He's gone. He existed. Now he's gone. Look at that. Things are just popping and blowing up. I really enjoy this playstyle. I just think it's fun to go around and like just smash everything up. But we are looking for this last...
It might be that top right area.
Cool.
I think you're totally right, and I found this a lot while I was playing my Sorcerer build, is that there's a lot of different types of builds you can make, but it's all based on opinion of what's actually effective, but also fun, right? Because I definitely tried out some Sorcerer builds that were effective but were not fun, and then I tried other ones that were perhaps more effective but actually more fun to play. So with this one, you're doing shouts, you're buffing your team if you're playing a party, but you're also doing massive slams for meaty AoE damage, which is that, like we talked about before, that barbarian fantasy of just hitting a big slam and hitting a big damage number.
Wow, you see that?
Ooh, that was 62k.
See that? The numbers.
You see, that's what it's all about for me. If I was to make a barbarian ult, I'd have to have something that could just do a massive chonky hit, you know, the fantasy. And Hammer of the Ancients definitely like fills that void, which is really nice. So when you synergize it with those shouts, and like we've said before, and we just showed, you don't even have, like, you have legendary aspects for all different skills that we're not using, so this could be pushed really far, but it's already completely viable for, you know, just clearing dungeons in solo and party play.
Yeah, definitely. We basically did the level 4, the World Tier 4 capstone with this one as well, so both our builds from like yesterday are super viable for going through harder difficulty content as well, because I know people can be like, oh, you're not going through like a nightmare tier level, whatever. We did like the capstone with it, so
yeah, we literally just finished the final capstone, so we got World Tier 4 just unlocked.
Yeah.
And it was actually quite a blast to go through it. Like those capstone dungeons are quite fun. I kind of wish there was more of them, to be honest.
Yeah, the boss was crazy. You seen these hits though? 59k, 68k, 8k.
And these are on elites as well.
I'm not even berserking at the moment. Oh, I love a bit of a conduit. Conduit's so fun. Guys, let us know what your favourite statue is.
Does anyone else actually feel like the Greed Shrine is underpowered? Like,
underwhelming. You get like 2
we
coins.
need like hundreds of thousands of XP to do gold to do anything at this level, and we get 30 gold from a Greed Shrine per like mob hit. It's just not enough. I think we gotta see a buff to the Greed Shrine.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an elite somewhere to slay for the key.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I am definitely like a... Tell me what you think of this in the comments, guys. I like to run to the elite packs and ignore the trash mobs if I can, just to speed up the dungeon clear. But I know that for some people, it's really annoying when they have a mob following them and they want to like to clear
I
every
hate
single
it. I
individual thing
have
out.
to kill the mobs. Like that's why I'm always like behind you in a dungeon. I was like, nah. Especially when
I'm
that's
the
like
guy that just
on
runs
you.
to the next elite.
I think that's okay because you've got like a little ice thing that you can stay in though. For me, I obviously got like some speed stuff, but you just like teleport away and like go into your ice ball.
Yeah, it's like the perks of being a sorcerer, I guess. Ooh, a little 40k right off the bat. 62k.
This is where like
You're really survivable, actually. You're just like face tanking the boss. You're not even moving out the AoEs on the floor.
nah, I don't need to do that. That's my sorcerer stuff. Dodging, what is that?
I have to actually move out the way of those.
There you go. Not too
Nice.
bad.
Oh, no good gear that time, then.
Yeah.
Come on, where's the legendaries?
Nah.
We gotta go and do a farm for them.
Yeah.
But that was pretty cool. Yeah, so this is the fantasy barbarian. You've gone through several different builds and tried them out. This one seems to not just be fun, but also to perform it. Like we said, we've gone through Capstone 4. It's keeping like up with the damage, and you're also very survivable, which is something that I'm jealous of as a sorcerer. But do you have anything more to say about your build?
No, obviously you guys can improve it in your own way, and obviously I wouldn't say it's like my own build. The concept's been around for a while. We just really wanted to highlight it, and obviously you can check it out on Mobility if you want to see it. But Hammer of the Ancients, out of the ones that I've played, is the most fun. Guys, go try it. This one won't necessarily like let you down if you want to have like some fun with your barbarian and not feel like you're just being carried along by other classes, especially after the whirlwind nerfs and some of the other classes not necessarily performing as well.
Definitely. So guys, hit a like down below if we've helped you out, and make sure to check out all the other guides, farms, and Diablo 4 content on the channel. Subscribe for more stuff coming soon. Do put in the comments if there's anything that you would tweak or change, or you found out with your barbarian that you really want to share, and we can all learn together as a community. And the two videos on screen now, we think you'll really enjoy if you did enjoy this one. Of course, you don't have to watch them if you don't want to, but if you did like this video, you will probably enjoy these ones too, so definitely check them out and tell us what you think after watching in the comments down below.